Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here to celebrate my 100 years. I'm sorry I have to write it all down. I can't say. I must say that I never planned it. It just happened. Of course, everyone wants to know how I managed to get here. What is my secret? They say. Well, obviously, there's a lot of luck involved. Born with good organs, for one. And then taking care of those organs for another. My father had a crippled sister who lived with us. She was a disciple of Gaylord Hauser, the famous nutritionist who invented the phrase, "You are what you eat." So I was given health food from the time I took my first bite. Stuff like beet leaves and nuts and fruit, no canned goods, nothing processed. That was 50 years before that kind of eating hit America. So I guess that played a part in my good health. The other part, I think, is my attitude. I am an ethical hedonist. I don't have religion. I just believe in enjoying life and encouraging my loved ones to enjoy it with me. My aunt would always say to me, "Dorothy, don't dwell in the past. Think in the present," which is what I do. Today it's called mindfulness. I have always operated on being fully committed to each day, finding some joy in what I'm doing, trying to avoid anything unpleasant. Of course, my supreme happiness in life was my marriage to Guy. I had 62 years of total bliss. We never had a serious fight, ever. I can honestly say that every day was living in paradise. We had an extraordinary life together, living in exotic places and traveling all over the world. If I could, I would rewind my life and play it back all over again. We started our life together with a honeymoon trip around the world. Guy was a diplomat in the Foreign Service, so he had a very privileged life, with live-in servants and lots of parties. We were posted in Mexico, where Guy Stewart was born, Geneva, and Panama, and in between posts we lived in Georgetown, Washington. When Guy retired to paint full-time, we spent a year in the south of France and summered in Tangier, Taormina, Florence, and Sintra. Of course, when Guy retired, we no longer had the privileges of a diplomat's life. No more servants. I had to cook full-time, which I did. 3 squares for Guy's whole life, and we gave costume parties for 50 people where I did all the cooking. I went into real estate and interior design to help save money for our son's education. I did an award-winning office space, renovated many brownstones, and designed and furnished a resort in the Caribbean. As a native New Yorker, I have seen so many changes in the 100 years I've been around. I grew up in Sunnyside, Queens, and was playing in the street from age 6. We played potsy, a form of hopscotch where you chalked off the sidewalk, ring-a-levio, hide and seek, and points, throwing a ball against a stoop. By the time I was 9, I was playing stickball in the middle of the street with the boys, and by the time I was 12, I was teaching the boys how to dance. I brought a little wind-up controller to the street and taught them the box step. I always loved boys. I'm so grateful that I was blessed with 3 wonderful sons. Dancing has always been an essential part of my life. I've lindied to Glenn Miller's orchestra and rumba to Xavier Cougar. It's very sad that people no longer dance. To me, it's the elixir of life. Every time people got together in my day, they rolled up the rug and danced. It was the way you connected. Alas, the kids today look at phones instead. When I turned 16, my mother gave me a party at the Astor Roof on Broadway, where Tommy Dorsey was playing. Yes. Frank Sinatra was singing in his band. Wow. She came to surprise me at midnight with a bottle of champagne. But I thought it was more sophisticated to go to two places in one evening. So we went off to the wilds of New Jersey to hear Charlie Barnett at the Log Cabin. When I found out how I had disappointed her, it haunted me for years. It's my only regret. Life is about choices, and it's very important to think deeply about them and then act. That's the key, I think, to living well. I've always been involved with performing. My mother had me singing on the radio when I was 4, the Horn and Heart Out Kitty Hour. I sang Lazy Bones. When I was 6, I was on the stage of the Bliss Theater in Sunnyside, where we lived, singing All of Me to a little boy. I studied acting with Stella Adler for 3 years. She had a profound effect on me. I started an acting company in Washington, where, of course, I starred in many of the productions. And when we lived in Geneva, Guy and I were in an acting group that performed improvisations for all the English-speaking audiences. I started going to the theater when I was young. When I was 10, my parents took me to the Rodgers and Hart musical Jumbo, starring Jimmy Durante, and I remember the star sitting on a live elephant singing My Romance. When I was in the 6th grade, a boy invited me to see Jerome Kern's Very Warm for May. We went by ourselves by subway at night. Can you imagine today's helicopter parents allowing that? I've seen every great play and musical of my day, which has been called the golden years of theater. My mother had a ticket agent, and I just had to pick up the phone the day after the reviews came out and sit in the 8th row center for every good show. What a thrill it was. I must say that I do not experience that kind of thrill anymore. The theater today is not the same. Dreadful music, all amplified to make it worse, and kids that stand up and whoop and holler when the show ends. In my day, a standing ovation was given for something extraordinary. Well, I have spent a lifetime giving parties, but this one is certainly the most special of all.
Yay, Dorothy.
I want to thank the board of the Salmagundi for making this evening possible. The club has been so generous to me, and I am so grateful. You are my home away from home. I feel so honored that each and every one of you are here to celebrate with me that I have lasted so long. There is something final about reaching 100 years, but over 9 million people have watched me serve a tennis ball on my Instagram. And in 2 weeks, the U.S. Open officials have invited me to toss the coin for who serves. First in the championship game. I'm excited about that. Yeah. So here's to life.